this is another thing that the Cosby Show screwed up because the Cosby weren't great parents.
Yeah, you recently did a video on that.
Yeah, the Cosby's weren't great. Like all their kids were aimless and rudderless. They didn't realize Theo had dyslexia until he was like way too old. If my kid can't I would have noticed by 6 or 7 if my kid was hardcore dyslexic. Like the Cosbys were like mediocre parents. Their kids were all rudderless. Their kids were nice white kids. And I said the same thing about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kids. And I think this screwed up a lot of like black culture because the Banks were not great parents if you're raising Carlton and Hillary. You don't want your son to be Carlton and you don't want your daughter to be Hillary.
Yeah.
Because Hillary thinks she's white. So
really
that's not going to end up well.
Yeah. Carlton as well.
That, well, Hillary ends up being Meghan Markle and married to a prince. Fam. There was one Meghan Markle. A lot of them are just like end up being divorced or confused about why they're broken in LA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But your point about Theo is so important too, though, because as a young black male, I remember the way Theo was treated throughout most of, up until that point where they recognized he had dyslexia. He was just treated as a kind of a fuck up. He just, they just looked at him like he was constantly messing up and that was it. And, by the time you add in this dyslexia moment, you realize the gravity of that is so much more serious. But I'll be honest with you, until you said it, I never really pondered the impact of that particular representation, and not just that event, but leading up to it. Because I remember how many times, they would get on him about his grades and about this and that, and it just cemented the stereotype that black boys couldn't be taught. I mean, if we look at Richard Reeves' latest work, he's talking about boys are just developmentally behind, and you shouldn't even put them in school for a year or two before. And I'm like, what? But these are the kind of ideas around boys, especially black boys. So that's a powerful point, and you're absolutely right. I just didn't realize how consistently that idea has been with us.
Yeah, we're not not even radicals. Like, I'm not saying, actually, go ahead and raise radicals. What's wrong with that? Raise Fred Hampton. Like we should be raising radicals, but we're not we're just clowns and punchlines and people who are not serious about threatening white power. Like that's the model of black parenting is not, we need to raise kids who are going to threaten white power and make sure the black people get a cut of their own, of America, a fair share. Like that's just not, you're not parenting for a revolution. And anything short of a revolution is going to is consigning black people to the degradation. People ask me, why do you care about this so much? It's like, look, I want black grandkids, and I'd like my daughter to have a black date to prom. And my daughter's pretty smart, which means the person she goes to prom with, I want their parents to have a good job. So reparations is good for my long-term project of having stable black communities and a better America for black people, the America that black people deserve. And anything short of revolution is not going to get that. It's not going to come for that, and I think that's a problem.
Absolutely.
And we're not parenting kids for revolution. Like none of the Cosby kids. Sandra, the oldest daughter, ended up with a wilderness store and then went back to law school because she ran out of money. And it was all just the kids were rudderless. The model of rudderless parenting. There was no strong, serious black parent depicted in the culture. There was, and even you could say well, what about the Obamas? You don't hear about it, Sasha Malia Obama. Sasha Malia and Obama are not making the world a better place for black people. Not in any serious way.
Wow.
Where is the model? And in the absence of the model, since we don't have the cultural knowledge, because we've been under fire for a few hundred years, we grasp onto the Cosbys or we grasp onto the Obamas and then risk raising our kids like white liberals. And then we don't even notice that Carlton and Hillary are like failures or like early failures.
Yeah.
They're like that. Like Hillary does not end well in 20 years.
Yeah.
35-year-old Hillary is not someone you want to be around. Yeah. Either she's on therapy on a bunch of pills, or like is like terrorizing her husband, or is divorced, or like at no point in time. Yeah, like at no point in time does anyone teach us these things about